computer. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello. This is Ignacy and Portal Games.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 204, and we are recording this on July 28th, not 26th as it says in my notes here, 2021. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network. And Ignacy, I may have to replace you on this show because you keep getting sick. You keep blowing me off with excuses you can't record. But Corey Thompson doesn't do that to me, so I think he may be your replacement. But I would never, ever choose Tom Vassell.
Dear sir, do you really want me to post on social media all the text message from you that you are tired, that you are sleeping, that you cannot record, and etc., etc.? Like, don't you even get me started?
We were supposed to record on Monday this week because we basically missed a week. I don't even know when this is gonna post. We'll figure that out. But I didn't get home from CoreyCon and the Podfather Wine and Food Tour that I just did in Napa Valley.
And you dare to blame me.
Until 2:30 in the morning, Monday morning. It was crazy because of the plane delay and because of this and that. So yeah, I know I'm just as bad as you, but how are you feeling? You were sick. Are you feeling okay?
I had something very strange. So for 2 days I had no strange. I was laying in the bed. I felt terrible, and then on the third day I was like brand new. So I don't know what was the virus. Of course, none of us is a specialist, but it was very, very, very strange. It just hit me for 2 days. I was in the bed, and then I was ready and got back to work. So very strange.
I'm happy that you're doing well.
Yep,
but
thank you.
Our fans need to know what has been happening over at Portal Games.
Oh, this is this amazing news of the week, because when Stephen was traveling and enjoying CoreyCon and all these the wine tasting, etc., you, our listeners, missed the pre-orders on Dune because I had no chance to report on the pre-orders for Dune because there was no recording. So yes, there was happening Dune House Seekers pre-order campaign. It took 2 weeks only. It was very intense. We presented a ton of additional content for the game. We presented the goodies, promos, mini expansions, and it is sold out. It's done. It's over. You missed that. So the conclusion, please follow me on Twitter. Please follow me on the website. So in a case that once again we have some delay in recording, you will not miss important information. And on a serious note, of course, I'm very happy, very proud that the operation went very smooth and very nice. A ton of fans of Dune, that's obvious. So the game is sold out from our website for the pre-order campaign. Now we are going, of course, to finish production. I believe it is already finished, and send it to distribution so you can pre-order it from your local game store. So please support your local businesses, and you will find Dune House Seekers on your local game store. Just a reminder, the game releases, and this is quite accident, but it is a very nice accident. It releases exactly during the week of the release of the movie in the theater. So you go to the theater and then the next day you buy the game. So it's going to be amazing fall season for all the Dune fans.
Or vice versa. You buy the game, then go see the movie. Either way is fine with you, I'm sure. And I got my pre-order in, so I can't wait to get Dune House Secrets.
I appreciate it. Thank you. My brag of the week, obviously, I saw it already in the show notes below, but I will mention it right now here. Brag of the week, a Micro Macro Crime City won Spiel des Jahres. That means that Ignacy's prediction was on point. I'm the master predictor. Nobody doubts that.
You got that one right, and that was an easy one. I shouldn't have doubted you on it because it is amazing, and I did play a tiny little bit of it over at CoreyCon. We can talk about that later.
My pre-orders and my street dates for $1 million script, our party game about designing a script for the movie, is releasing in August 12th. And then on September 5th, we have the Day of the Moloch and release of the Neuroshima Hex, the Year of the Moloch edition. Amazing, full-blown deluxe edition of Neuroshima Hex. So these are two new products upcoming in upcoming weeks to your local game stores. And what's happening at HQ? Last days of the vacation. I mentioned that in the previous episode that every year we shut down the whole company for 2 weeks for all the employees to recharge, get new energy, go to travel, go to vacation with their families. And these 2 weeks passed very, very quickly. And this upcoming Monday, everyone is back in the office, hopefully recharged, as I said, with new energy and ton of projects to finish to do. 11 will be on Game Found in September, so this is our Football Manager game that we are going to prepare in upcoming days, the whole campaign. And the good news for me and for all of you who follow me on Twitter, so that you can see my pictures, Dreadful Circus from Bruno Duty, we received the samples, and Dune House Secrets, we received samples, so I was posting some selfies with these games. Both look amazing, the production value is high, is top notch, so I'm very, very proud of these new releases. Dreadful Circus will be released at Essen, and Dune House Secrets, as I said, released in October along with the movie. Video of the week, we started doing YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is like a 1-minute video, in most cases funny, so go to our YouTube channel, YouTube Portal Games Movies, and you will find YouTube Shorts, most of them recorded by Daniel. So fun stuff on our YouTube channel. So this was happening last days of the vacation, and the most important thing, you might miss pre-orders of Dune. Follow me on Twitter, please.
There you go. Follow Ignacy. Find out about his pre-orders. Over at the Podfather of Gaming, of course, Corey Khan was the big thing over the last couple of weeks. Basically, when I was out there in Napa Valley, we spent time at Corey Thompson's house. Remember, Corey Thompson does the podcast Dice Tower Now, which was the old Dice Tower News. You get like up to the minute news when you listen to his podcast. I highly recommend going over and subscribing to Dice Tower Now. He also writes the Dice Tower Dish, and that's when he takes out designers, sometimes publishers, and just talks about what they've done and how and gets behind the scenes view into how the designer operates. I've already set up. Hopefully, Ignacy will have a dinner with him at some point, maybe at Essen. Hopefully, you should, Ignacy. You've blown him off in the past.
If it's in Essen, if I will be there, and I will be there. If he's there, it's possible, absolutely.
There you go. So Corey's just an amazing guy, and he literally hosted about a dozen, 15 of us for 5 days at his house to simply play games. And he basically paid for everything, which was just amazing. I mean, it's like I almost couldn't pay for anything. I mean, we ordered out like a couple of times, and he's still trying to pay for things, but the whole place was stocked with beer and wine and sodas and munchies, and it was just an amazing time. So big shout out to Corey for doing that. And then what we did, of course, I played like at least a dozen different games. Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, the original Knizia Lord of the Rings co-op game, which I hadn't played in like 10 years. Scout, a new trick-taking game. I don't even know if it's in America, but it's a Japanese game. DC Ben Siegel. The Crew 2, Mission to the Deep, something like that. It's in German only. He knows German enough to tell us what was on the cards and things like that. So that went great. Really good, The Crew 2. Better than The Crew in a lot of ways. Vegas Showdown, one of my favorite tile laying games, which is sort of like Amun-Re, one of my favorite also tile laying games. Played Quacks of Quellenberg again. Micro Macro a little bit, just played like a little piece of it that I couldn't take. My eyes couldn't take it anymore. It wasn't enough light where they were playing it. It was a lot of fun. And then we played Terraforming Mars, at least with one group, because they were like, well, Bonacor, I got to play that with you. So fantastic time. I played more games in those 5 days than I played, over the last year and a half, since this whole thing started. The next 5 days out in Napa, I did this food and wine tour, self-proclaimed Podfather food and wine tour. And it was just amazing. We visited 5 different wineries. We had like VIP treatment the entire time we were out there at all the wineries because of my brother is a member at all these places. So we were able to get really great treatment at them. And Corey's club that he belongs to, his sommelier at the club got us into Opus, and that's an unbelievable place. And we again had this great treatment over there. So we visited Opus, Reynolds, Roy, Patland, and Fleury, and Madrigal for just a short time. They couldn't take us. Just it was just a great experience. Some great restaurants as well. I if anybody if you want just a great experience of food and wine, it's a great place to go and check out if you get a chance the Napa Valley region in general. Reach out to me if you want some suggestions and maybe some contacts at different places. On the remodeling front, it's still ongoing now. It should have been finished by now, but due to the fact that we were away, there was a little bit of a delay in things. Not that they couldn't continue, but certain decisions need to be made by us, so they couldn't immediately finish certain things. But we're in the home stretch. They're putting up the lighting. They've got to do the like shelving units in various places. There's certain things are out of stock, so they're waiting for a few different pieces from the cabinet company to make some finishing pieces. But we're really close. We have a working kitchen, and that's huge. So as of like today, we're going to be downstairs trying to cook. Of course, it's still a bit of a mess. Like all the stuff is in boxes. So we have to go out and actually stock the kitchen cabinets with all the stuff that's in boxes. So that's going to take the rest of this week and weekend to actually do. But it's so exciting to finally get a house that looks like it's, in order, really. And it's beautiful. And I will, of course, post pictures in various places. Please follow me, if not friend me on Facebook, and you'll be able to see some of the really cool things that's going on.
This remodeling went so much smoother than I expected. I'm so disappointed. There is no adventures, no whining, no complaining. Like I expected so much from this story, and it's like the most boring story I heard.
Well, it's not done, and it was supposed to be done about 2 weeks ago. So I can whining a little bit, but it's wonderful working with the contractors that we're working with. I would recommend them to anybody, but of course you have to be like living, within 20 miles of where I am. So if you are and you're looking for remodeling, Geo Property Services, and contact me, and I'll give you their exact contact. Wonderful people, great. There's every little detail they want to make it right. So I'll whine a little bit. Don't worry. I'll promise. There's still more to come. Just a little bit on the convention scene. Obviously, little CoreyCon, little HouseCon thing that we just did. The Great Plains Game Festival is coming up in about a week after you hear this, give or take. I'll be out in Lincoln, Nebraska as a very special guest of honor. I want to make sure that Ignacy hears those words. Tom Vassell doesn't listen, but he'll hear about it on social media. I'll be the very special guest of honor out there, gaming with everybody. They've actually set up beer with Bonacor, wines with Bonacor. They've done all these things. There's a breakfast with Bonacor. Even they're going to be doing a breakfast thing, and I'll be there, and I'm dying. This is going to be so much fun just to be now hanging out, at a real, big convention, regional convention, 1,000, 1,500 people or something like that. It's going to be really fun to be out there again. So, and then we roll, at the end of August, we roll into the Gathering of Friends, of course, and that's going to be an epically great thing to be back in Niagara, seeing like hopefully several hundred people, though the exact number is not known yet because, people are not sure if they can get into the country and things like that. Even the Canadian border, they're not opening it yet. We're not going to be able to walk across into Canada as we do every year, which is kind of sad. Anyway, that's what's going on here, Ignacy. I think we should do a big news show today. We didn't talk about this before. We have so much news, so let's focus on the news because we have breaking news and things like that to talk about. Let's get to the event deck. So, Ignacy, the first and most important thing, the big awards of the year. We talk about it all the time and how big the Spiel des Jahres is to the industry, and the winners were announced. And Ignacy, yes, he won his prediction of Micro Macro Crime City, published by Edition Spiel Visa, which is wonderful. Congratulations to them on winning the Spiel des Jahres. And as important, at least for the gamers out there, the Kenner Spiel des Jahres goes to Z-Man for Paleo. Now, Ignacy, besides the bragging, I thought that the award to Paleo was a little bit unexpected. What do you think about that one? I thought that most people were not picking that. They were picking Arnak, right, to be the winner.
I agree, and I think this is a pattern that we see every year. The when the jury announces the winners, there is a ton of discussion, comments, and everybody says they are wrong. That is like ongoing event every year. I was surprised as well. I played Palio right after it was released in Essen last year. And this game is very simple. So I was surprised that this game was nominated for Kenner Spiel des Jahres, and then I was surprised that it actually won this Kenner Spiel des Jahres. Micro Macro, hands down, I predicted it in January, so of course, no brainer that this game won. But with Palio, for me, it was a contender for the Spiel des Jahres, for the easier game. And it may be confusing for gamers, it may be confusing for BGG users, and that when they hear this is a Kenner that is expert Spiel des Jahres, and they will buy the game and they will see this rulebook has 4 pages and this is very simple, a family game. They might be disappointed, maybe confused. So yes, you have to guys to remember that these awards are for the mass market, for the big audience in Germany, and even the Kenner Spiel des Jahres is still very simple. So yes, if you are a active user of Board Game Geek, this Palio may be too simple for you. That's for sure. Arnak is much more difficult, much more complex game.
Agreed. Agreed. I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of the other games that were also nominated again because we talked about it: The Adventures of Robin Hood and Zombie Teens Evolution. That's an odd one. Scorpion Mosque did that one.
Correct.
And Kennerspiel, Fantasy Realms, and we already talked about Lost Ruins of Arnak, of course. So all of these, congratulations on all the games, and congratulations to the winners, of course. Very good to hear that we've got those great awards now in the books. This is an interesting one. You posted this one, Kickstarter for a game convention in Nicaragua. And I just looked at that. What an interesting idea, right? Obviously not a part of the world that we hear much about hobby board gaming, but they're kickstarting this convention called ABCon, and that's African Board Game Convention in Nicaragua. Ignacy, want to give us a little mention about that?
Yeah, I found this quite accidentally. Rob Davio, our friend, posted a tweet. I just bugged this convention. So I checked the link and I did exactly the same. I bugged this convention and I thought, hey, let's spread the word. Let's promote board gaming in all different regions. And if, thanks to our podcast, if thanks to our announcing this, we will find a few more backers for this initiative. That is a good thing. I saw the video. I checked the page. It looks like a great community of gamers promoting the hobby, promoting the games in Africa. There is a video from the previous editions. It looks amazing. Ton of people playing board games. So let's support, and that's why I wanted to put it very high in the show notes. So we publish it before the Kickstarter is over. So guys, check it out, and let's this is like you can support with $10. But $10 multiplied by many of you, we will support them, will help them. They will buy board games. They will have money to get the venue. Let's support.
I think that's a really great idea. I've just clicked on the link, and I am going to back this convention. I mean, again, certainly an underserved area of the world in so many ways, and if we can get some more knowledge of hobby gaming into Africa in general, Nigeria. Did I say Nicaragua before? Not Nigeria. Gosh, if I said Nicaragua, I apologize. In Nigeria, I think that is wonderful. So consider going over to Kickstarter and looking for ABCon, the African Board Game Convention in Nigeria. So here's a great piece of news that has to get mentioned, immediately, and that's about hobby game sales in North America have now gone over 2 billion with a B US dollars in the year 2020. Now remember what 2020 was, everybody, right? It was like, possibly the worst economic year in history for a lot of people and a lot of industries, certainly hospitality, right? The worst, travel, the worst ever. Hobby board gaming, in North America, $2 billion industry. Let me read a little bit more about this. Despite the many challenges of doing business during a global pandemic, hobby game sales in the US and Canada grew 21% to $2.035 billion in 2020, up from $1.675 billion in 2019. Every category of games was up, fueled by stay-at-home orders that limited entertainment options. Collectible games contributed the biggest portion of the dollar growth, not unexpectedly, right? With WotC being just so big and so powerful, and RPGs the highest percentage growth. Again, Dungeons and Dragons and WotC. Results by channel were mixed, with the hobby channel, especially its online portions, Kickstarter, mass merchants, and large online retailers all up, and specialty retail chains down. That's things like Barnes and Noble, right? Those kind of chains. They were down. What a shock, of course. They were closed for so much. Collectible games went into 2020 with good momentum. The category grew 19% in 2019, but 2020's 24% growth eclipsed that rate, and it could have been higher if printing plants were able to keep up with the demand. Ignacy, it just goes on and on and on with these numbers. Let me just quickly get to hobby card and dice game category was on the negative trend in 2019, but driven by the sales, by the same COVID factors that affected board game sales, turned around in 2020 and grew 19% to 155 million. Hobby board games grew by 19% as well. What amazing numbers. I mean, it's not only showing that we're recession proof, which we had in the past proven, now we're pandemic proof. I mean, global economic turndown proof. Amazing.
Yes, I have just small two comments. One comment is about role-playing games. The numbers are here insane, showing how role-playing games increased past year. And I think, this is just my opinion, role-playing games you can play over Zoom. There are so many platforms that you can, hang out with the friends over the software and play Dungeons and Dragons or other role-playing games. Last year, I don't know if our listeners remember, I was celebrating my birthday playing Dungeons and Dragons with Chevy Dot from America over the
Nice.
Zoom, yes, and we played role-playing game session. So in these terrible times of COVID, when we were all, locked down in house, we were able to connect with our friends and play role-playing games. So this is my opinion why it went so high, and it is insanely good for all of us. And the other comment, of course, is Slavic Ignacy coming. We reported in the past few weeks and months. Some companies were saying that the last year was amazing, and some companies that had some not the best numbers were saying, "Oh, this is due to COVID. It was very difficult year." These numbers says that for board games industry, this year was amazing, and we reported this many times. It was very difficult for us on a personal level. We saw this so harsh for the whole world, but on the numbers we saw people are buying board games. This is the best year of the business for all of us working in this industry. So yes, it was very difficult year to, on one hand, be happy with the numbers and be sad seeing the news that people are dying and there's so much difficulty. So it was very crazy year, but for sure everyone I'm discussing with, they confirm last year was the best year in board gaming industry.
Yeah, amazing. So here's a very, very big news again. I told you we had a lot of things to talk about here today. There are six now, I guess, with Asmodee being a distributor themselves in North America. We've always talked about Alliance being the biggest, probably Asmodee distribution sort of the biggest themselves. Alliance, ACD, PhD, GTS, and Southern Hobby. Well, guess what? Southern Hobby has been acquired by Entrust Global Group. And let me read a little bit about this. Trading card and game distributor Southern Hobby Supply and investment firm Entrust Global Group, have reached a definitive agreement for Entrust to acquire Southern Hobby, the company announced. Southern Hobby will join other companies in related fields, including Beckett Media, Comic Book Certification Service, Arcane Tin Man, and Non-Sports Update in the group's portfolio. So talks about a bunch of various items about the people in the company. let me get to more about Southern Hobby. They currently serve over 1,000 stores as their primary distributor, the company said in the announcement, and they operate 5 distribution centers. Its home base of Nashville and in New York, Chicago, St. Louis, and Reno. It sounds like that number may grow. Quote, with this winning combination, we are committed to fuel the growth of Southern Hobby by adding more market share and extending its branches globally to increase its dominant position in the dynamic distribution space for collectibles and gaming. Entrust founder and group CEO Sandeep Dua said in a statement accompanying this announcement. So this is very interesting to me on a few levels. First of all, a very large, like venture capital fund, almost. That's not exactly what they are, but they're Entrust Global buys companies in various industries, and they already have several within the gaming space. And I mentioned those at the top there. They're now going after their distributor. It's the smallest distributor, or arguably smallest or second, very different from many of the others. PhD is about this size, but Southern Hobby also has a large branch of other items in their portfolio like collectibles that they do distribution on that I don't think some of the other distributors really focus on as much. So Southern Hobby wasn't as big in the board gaming space, but is big in other spaces as well. Very interesting that this group would come out of nowhere almost. And I have a little bit of anecdote that I'll tell you in a second about Entrust Global, and look at, excuse me, somebody in this industry. Ignacy, anything on this?
Yeah, I'm interested in what will happen in the future because, as you mentioned, and Southern Hobby was, as far as I know, much bigger in sports cards.
Yep.
All these baseball cards, etc., etc. So they were doing gaming, but it was not their main business. And in the past few years, when there was so many changes in the distribution, and we were reporting this over and over again, from the rumors I heard, from the information I got, Southern Hobby was more and more focusing on this sports cards business and less interested in competing with Alliance, ACD, etc., etc. So now, if we see this big turn, the question is if they will be even more turning into the sports cards, or they will be no, let's go back to the gaming and board games. So will it mean that they are basically exiting our niche, or they are now getting back to our niche? So we will see, of course, this in upcoming months.
I'm going to tell everybody here something that's a long-held secret of mine, and that is that Entrust Global approached me and discussed an acquisition at one time in the past.
Okay, nice.
That's it. That's all you can hear. Because, but I mean, obviously it did not happen because the merger with Indie Boards and Cards. But they looked to get into the publishing space, and we did talk. So there's a little bit of interesting information that nobody outside of this individual right here, the Podfather, knows about. I thought you would say something about that, Ignacy, but okay, you don't have to. It's
I got some comment, but I was not sure that I can say it. So when we stop recording,
okay.
I will comment.
Okay. So here's interesting news about Exploding Kittens acquiring the IP, the game Happy Salmon, from North Star Games, who not only created the game, but has been publishing the game for years. Exploding Kittens has acquired the family game Happy Salmon, designed by Quintier Weir and game developer Ken Gruhl from North Star Games, the company announced. Gruhl has joined Exploding Kittens as senior game designer as the company scales up to produce more games. Exploding Kittens is releasing 6 games in 2021, including a new version of Happy Salmon reimagined with an Exploding Kittens twist planned for November. To get an idea of how the company was scaling up, we asked Exploding Kittens creative director Zach Schiff to give us an idea of how the company's release is going. And I'm going to not give his entire quote here because it goes on for quite a while, but he mentioned that they're going to be using this IP a little bit as they grow their library of games. They're going to be getting into more and more games. Obviously, Exploding Kittens is known for Exploding Kittens, but now they're increasing all of the games in their catalog. And this was one way of doing so. Ignacy, do you want to make any comments about this? I'm going to have a
Yep.
interesting comment at the end.
Okay, so my comment is what is said here, and I knew it from behind the scenes, but now it is official. They are working with industry designers and veterans listed here in this article. Eric Lang, consulting development for these new games. Designers including Mr. Wolfgang Warsch, the one and the only designer of Guns von Clever and D-Mind and many other great games. So what you see in this press release that is now finally official, Exploding Kittens is looking into the best of the best designers to bring new designs on the market and not be the company that has only one hit that is a crazy, stupid, awesome party game, but looking for more talent and more different games, and with the whole funds they have from Exploding Kittens. And I believe we reported about some investment in them a couple of episodes ago. Now, having a talent like Eric Lang or Wolfgang Warsch, I'm looking forward for the new ideas from Exploding Kittens, even though I'm not a big fan of this particular one game.
Right. Now, that was a good point to mention, that they have basically brought on board, not in a employee way, but in a consulting manner, Eric Lang. It says it in the article. I guess I can talk about it now. Eric, I've known about this for a while. Eric and I speak a lot. That Eric is, in a very broad capacity, as it says here, is consulting for Exploding Kittens. So there's going to be a lot of things coming out of the Exploding Kittens company that's going to have the Eric Lang stamp on it, so to speak, if you know what I mean, right? He's going to be doing design and development and work for the company, which is wonderful. So kudos to them for bringing on such a talented guy. And then again, as you mentioned, Wolfgang Warsch, who's like, the genius, one of the newest geniuses in our industry, having him work directly with the company can only help their position. And they've got a lot of money, as you know, because the Exploding Kittens has sold just an incredible amount.
Yeah, to remind everyone, because it's news from a couple of years, but we were reporting that because we are recording this podcast for so long. Wolfgang Warsch was the first designer who had 2 nominations for Spiel des Jahres in 1 year. So, amazing. And Spiel des Jahres are these simple games. So, these are what Exploding Kittens are looking. They are looking for simple, brilliant games. Wolfgang Warsch is the man, and Eric Lang as a development is the man.
The man.
Yep.
Excellent.
Great
excellent.
News.
Yep. So here's some so we've been talking a lot about the hardcore business, this episode with the acquisition of Southern Hobby, with the acquisition of IP. We got some bad news here with TMG, right? Tasty Minstrel Games is in, my words, virtual bankruptcy. My words. So they put out an investor letter. This went out to their investors, and it got circulated. Now, by the way, TMG is not a public company. They're a private company. How do they have investors that need a newsletter? Well, they went...
That was the website, right? It was a few years ago.
A few years ago, they used a newfound laws in the United States, new laws in the United States that allow private companies to get, let's call them angel investors, get some people in to bring in capital. And securities laws stated for years in the US that you couldn't do this, but things changed about 3 years ago, and many companies went out and got it. Not many companies in our industry, but in our industry, TMG did this. So Michael Mind is the president of the company. He went out and he said to his investors that TMG's book value is now negative. So basically their debts are over their assets. Their ongoing operational expenses have been lowered to the lowest they can possibly make it, and lowest in years. Operational revenues are lower than they have been in years as well. The pandemic was good for game sales overall, but not for their products. I'll leave that statement alone. Why not? Their products. TMG got a PPP loan from the government, as so many small businesses did, but it was not sufficient to save the company. Their dice business is still great. They will continue along at a fraction of their previous size. So I'm calling this virtual bankruptcy. The company has a negative value right now, and they're going to limp along. They're not going to do any large games at all. And they also mentioned that they owe a lot of money to printers, whichever printers those are right now. They didn't mention who. I feel bad for them. Their business model was always different than everyone else's, and they have not been able to prove that business model out, sadly. So while they're still around, they're going to be around in a very different way than they have in the past. Anybody who's waiting on one of their Kickstarters to fulfill, I'm sorry, I don't think that's going to be happening, at least in 2021, based on what they said in that release.
Yeah, and this is terrible news. This is sad news, and we were reporting for a couple of years already that the market is difficult, that the competition is very strong, that the print runs are smaller and smaller because of there's so many games released. And I was predicting there will be a bankruptcy in the industry. Then you were predicting, and at some point we see it's happening, and it is terrible. It puts me in a very bad mood. I know personally the team at TMG,
Sure.
and even if I don't know them, it will be as sad as it is. So fingers crossed that something good will happen. But yeah, we reported so many times.
Yeah.
It is not always happy, and in this industry, we have not the huge margins. The costs are going up and up. The competition is very, very difficult.
And it's important for us to discuss these things to give it's sad. I know obviously Michael very well, and I know that other people that were there, if they are still there now. I don't know. He mentioned it's going to be a very small company going forward. It might just be Michael. I don't know. But it's important for us to give you this news as well, to show you that how certain companies will or will not survive, and how their business models will or will not pan out in the long run. I don't think this is the last of these that we'll hear about. I certainly don't want to hear them, but let's see how this one ends
This is
up.
a very interesting point that you are making. So let me comment on this.
Yep.
In many episodes, we report about Hasbro going up, Wizards going up, new records of the revenue, a business is growing. It is not always only good stories. This is, of course, we are reporting about the success stories, but along with every success story, there is many not success stories that nobody is discussing, nobody is vocal about, going out of the business. I remember myself when I went for the first time to Essen, 2007, and I was successful. I came back to Poland. Everybody was cheering. The company from Poland having success in Essen. And then there was many other companies from Poland, small companies who went to the Essen, and they had no success, and there was no success story, and nobody remembered that.
Right.
And the perception was there is only a success story. It is so easy to release the game. It is so easy. Everybody's buying games. No, so we just giving some reality check on the industry and telling you, yes, these big companies are successful, but for you starting the company, please double check your numbers, double check the math, because it is not always easy peasy.
Exactly. So the next story here is interesting, and I can't read it because it's in German, and you put it in here. So tell us about Piatnik revealing some sales numbers.
Oh my God! It's in what's happening?
It's in German. Did you not notice it was in German?
No. I think it was in English because I read it, I understood it, but whatever it is, I can do it. So anyway, Piatnik is a company that prints cards, but also publishes the games. And they give the numbers, which is super, super awesome because they are transparent and they are, presenting another success story. And these numbers are super interesting for all of us because every time we mention that how Spiel des Jahres is important, how big numbers are for the games that win the Spiel des Jahres. And here we see the Speedy Roll. This is the game that won Kinder Spiel des Jahres in the last year. I don't know if you remember that Speedy Roll. And they give the numbers. And they told that they sold 200,000 copies of this game. So, and this is not the Spiel des Jahres. This is the Kinder Spiel des Jahres. So this is the third less important award in the whole collection. 200,000 copies sold of that. And they are also giving some different numbers about the different games like Quiz Spiel. So this is a quiz game. Smart 10, 50,000 copies sold in the last year. So this is insane. This is insane how German market is big, how many people in Germany are buying games. And once again, just to follow up to the previous news, because I talked a lot with the Pegasus Spiele, our German publisher, and they say the market is big, but this is German. This competition is fierce. There's so many publishers. There's so many games released in Germany. This is the mecca for board gaming. Everyone wants to publish in Germany. There's every game released in Germany. So if you have a success, if you have this awards, if you have a great distribution, the numbers are insane. They're impossible to match in any other country in the world. But not every publisher in Germany sells 200,000 copies of the game.
Yeah, so 200,000 copies of the Kinder Spiel des Jahres, okay, which is amazing. But then they've also doing 50,000 units of this other game that I don't know, Smart 10.
Yep.
I mean, that's
Yep.
big numbers,
Yeah.
and this is only German numbers too, I think, right?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Kudos to them. I don't even know what to say. It's so big. Great on them. So tell me about what you're doing here. What you put this in here. Warhammer 40K and Age of Sigmar might be most at home on the tabletop, but with the new impending launch of Game Workshop's new streaming service, they're going to come out with their own streaming service, Warhammer? Games Workshop? No way.
I think every cool kid on the blog now has their own streaming platform.
I'm going to start a streaming platform like right after this.
This is insane. I got this news from my son, believe it or not, because he's a huge Games Workshop fan, and he told me that there will be a Netflix for Warhammer. I told him that he's stupid, and then he sent me a link. Of course, I dig into this thing. So they're basically trying to do something else. So this is not a Netflix for Warhammer. This is like a subscription based community. So we are paying the fee as a subscription, and you get access to additional video games, additional special miniatures, additional battle reports, and some video content as well, including gameplays. They announce some TV shows, so I guess there'll be quizzes about Warhammer or whatever. So they're building the whole community, but they want to monetize it. And by monetizing, then they have to offer something, and they came up with this insane idea of Warhammer Plus, the streaming platform about the Games Workshop world. We are living in a great times. I have to say, it will cost me because my son wants to have it. So
that is absolutely insane. I will not subscribe because I don't play Warhammer, but that's amazing. So
a Warhammer Plus subscription will cost you $6 a month. And you get all these, as I said, some apps for your app store, some TV shows, some exclusive access to some information about their products, all that jazz. But we are living in subscription times. Let's say the thing that was not popular 10 years ago. Now we have Spotify, we have Netflix, we all have all these subscriptions, and Games Workshop wants our money, especially if they can get it every month from our account, right?
You're not kidding. So, Ignacy, do we have more time? You haven't told me I have to stop the news here. I mean,
let's
we might have to go, right?
Yeah, last one, and we stop. Okay.
All right, the final one. Amazing, Ignacy, letting me continue, is about Gamma, which is always Ignacy's favorite topic to talk about. But the Gamma publishers, all of us, have given up control of the organization. The membership and the board is going to include non-publishers. And in a historic vote, publisher members of Gamma have overwhelmingly voted in favor of relinquishing their control of the organization, ceding it to a board with equal representation for publishers, wholesalers, retailers, creators, media, and events and production. The portion of the new bylaws containing the provisions for expanding the membership received 91% approval by voting members. The vote took place over 30 days that ended July 2nd. In addition to the changes to the composition of the board, officers will now be elected by the board members rather than directly by the membership. That part's I didn't know about, and is very, very interesting. So the main part of this is that Gamma recognized, and by the way, I had lunch with Stefan Brassard, the president of the board of directors.
Did you tell him about my comments about Gamma?
The funny thing is, he said to me, so Stephen, on your podcast, I was told that you
Oh my God.
talk about Gamma a lot, and he was smiling. I'm like, yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, Gamma is so important. He goes, I heard some of it wasn't very, nice. And I'm like, well, I usually speak very nicely about it. Ignacy, maybe not so much. Yes.
Steven, I love you. Please forgive me.
So Stefan might be giving you a call. So I don't know.
Oh my God. I'm in trouble.
You might be in trouble. I'm not going to say that. But anyway, the important portion of this is that as an organization which was controlled, owned by, it is called the Game Manufacturers Association. Manufacturers equal publishers, in this case, Gamma. As an organization, we came together and said, publishers don't exist on their own. We are integral also, but integrated into an industry that consists of three tiers: the publishers, the retailer, the distributors, and the retailers. Plus you have gamers, plus you have designers. So we as an organization said, we can't live on our own. We can't just think about ourselves as a organization of publishers, an industry of publishers. Let us rethink this. Let us reestablish this and make Gamma. Forget about what the letters mean. Think about Gamma now as an industry trade organization, not only a publisher's trade organization. This is the greatest idea. This happened last year and has finally been implemented now officially. So everybody within the industry can now become part of it. There's all, media people like myself at this point. Media people can become part of the organization, and distributors and retailers and everybody, and we can get together and talk about the industry news and how to make the industry better. Great stuff. Ignacy, maybe he will stop complaining for a little while we implement this, but I doubt.
I will probably stop because I had this idea that I will ask Matthew Jude to just make a pre-constructed opinion from me, so he can just put into the right place. So it will be like, I like to congratulate Gamma to once again meet and discuss the composition of the board. This is the 74th time we are reporting some changes to the board for Gamma. So congratulations, keep adjusting and improving the people in the board.
There you go. So that'll be it for the news for now. We actually have more to talk about, but we went very long. We're going to skip over strategy and tactics. Let's get over to play testing.
So we have a question for you. I have a question for Steven. I have a question for all our listeners. And this question was inspired by our friends from Rolling Dice and Techie Names and Marty O'Connell, who was reviewing the new books from the Arkham Horror series, raised by Aconite Books from Asmodee. And he said that he loved the Arkham Horror universe. He loves these books from Arkham Horror. And it struck me that he's talking about Arkham Horror books and universe without a proper respect to the fact that these books, this universe, it all started with the novels by H.P. Lovecraft. So my question for you, as Steven is typing it right now, would be, most of you have played Arkham Horror, the board game, and or Arkham Horror, the living card game, or other games in this universe, but have you ever read the H.P. Lovecraft, the books, the origins of the whole IP, the origins of the whole universe, or you just know only the board games and you haven't read the original one?
Fantastic question. I'm going to answer it, of course, myself. And the answer is no. I have never, ever read any H.P. Lovecraft. It's sort of not a genre of literature that I'm interested in reading. Maybe I should, just to be, obviously I know about it, and and I've heard somebody do, it was a reading. It was a time when people were doing some readings from different things, and they did a sort of an interpretive reading of it, and they kind of almost like acted out
Awesome.
it was really intense for like about 10 minutes. They were reading this. It was wild because it's crazy, right? It's a crazy universe, the H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu universe. So I enjoyed that a bit at that time, like 25 years ago. I have never picked up a book to start reading it. Ignacy, have you read the H.P. Lovecraft books?
Yes, I read the books before Arkham Horror was created, of course, in my high school times. But it's a very interesting case because it may be the situation, and be with me here, that by selling Arkham Horror board games, Asmodee will promote Arkham Horror IP, and therefore they will sell books, Arkham Horror books by Aconite Books. So people will read books without reading the original books by H.P. Lovecraft. So they will, grab people to read the books, but not the right ones, not the origin ones, but the like clone books. This is insane for me.
That is a really interesting, right? Sure, right? Because now, just so that everyone understands, well, how could that happen? Well, the H.P. Lovecraft books are public domain now, so anybody can write in that universe of Cthulhu. It's very interesting that you're right. I could see them creating their own Cthulhu books, and
they are doing that. So that was exactly what Martin the podcast said. He read this book and he loved the book, and I said, hey, but this is like a clone of the original one. What the hell? So people will brag about reading the books about Arkham Horror, but not reading the original ones, and this is crazy world.
That is really interesting. So we're going to ask you the same question right now. Have you ever read the H.P. Lovecraft books that all of these very interesting games have been based on? I mean, I love Arkham Horror, the board game. So very interesting. Ignacy will right now create a thread on Board Game Geek. So please go over to that thread in our guild and find this question where we ask it to you. And in the meantime, as he's doing that, I'm going to get over to the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts. To ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, you must post them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek. To answer our question to you from our playtesting segment, also go to our guild on Board Game Geek and look for the thread with this episode's question. Board Games Insider has a Facebook page, so please like us on Facebook. Also, on Facebook, please like Ignacy's page and Steven's page, which is /Portal Publishing and /Podfather Gaming. Our websites are portalgamesus.com and podfathergaming.com. Go over there, sign up for those newsletters, get up-to-the-minute information on what's happening at Portal Games and with the Podfather. On social media, speak directly to Ignacy and Steven by using Twitter, which is @PortalGamesUS and @PodfatherGaming. It's the same on Instagram. And on YouTube, the channel names are Portal Games Movies, Portal Games Gameplays, and the Podfather of Gaming. We hope to see you soon. Convention season opening up. Let's get those vaccines. Make sure we're all ready to party together. Party over games. Let's not get crazy here. We're all going to play some games together. Board Games Insider was professionally edited by Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken podcast. If you'd like him to edit your podcast, please contact him on Twitter or email at thisgameisbrokenpodcast@gmail.com. Also, that lovely voice you hear doing the intro, outro, and in between segments, that's Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do voiceover work at www.raygreenleevoiceover.com. raygreenleevoiceover.com. I wanted to give him a shout out. We'll probably do that a few more times here. Ignacy, I see you've typed some special news. What do you got for us?
I have a special news. Maybe this is not the news. Maybe this is what's happening here. I'm very, very seriously considering doing back my vlog. And by vlog, I mean all the videos that we are posting from behind the scenes, how we work in the company, how we develop the games, how we playtest the games. As our fans, listeners remember, there was a COVID. During the COVID, we stopped doing the vlog because I was doing the vlog for a couple of years. And due to the COVID, we stopped it. And now I'm considering getting back to it. I put a poll yesterday on Twitter, and there was many people saying, yes, they want the vlog back. So maybe in the next episode, maybe next week, I will report that I'm back to vlogging, and you will be able to see how we develop games, how we play test games. You will see our team working on things. So if you like behind the scenes content from the board game company, it may happen. Nothing decided yet, but I'm getting feedback from our fans, and apparently they want more.
You're going to be putting this up on your YouTube channel, one or both.
Correct.
Very, very
Correct.
cool. I want to see it. I vote yes. You should do this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Well, that's it for this episode, episode 1204. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Bye bye.